America's Cold War, Chapter 5, The Nuclear Rubicon, Part 1. The year 1958 began inauspiciously for the Eisenhower administration. The Democrats were on the offensive on foreign policy, keen to reverse their fortunes after successive defeats in the elections of 1952 and 1956. The Soviet Union, they charged, was moving decisively ahead of the United States in missile technology, with disastrous implications for American security. Some academic strategists, meanwhile, accused the administration of gross negligence, while economists claimed it was inviting a recession by refusing to spend more on the military. Astute political observers, among them Senator and likely presidential contender John F. Kennedy, recognized that a winning coalition could be built upon these grievances and upon the obvious remedy, a new military buildup that would not only overcome the Soviets' supposed superiority, but also recharge the American economy. In this atmosphere, Eisenhower's repeated, if quiet, insistence that the United States actually held the lead disappeared unheeded into the political winds. The president also felt pressure from inside the administration. His senior foreign policy and military advisors, led by the ailing Secretary of State John Foster Dulles, found his new all-or-nothing nuclear policy dangerous in the extreme and certain to alienate close allies in Europe and Asia. Several top military figures, including especially Army Chief of Staff Maxwell Taylor, regarded the president's new policy as virtual surrender. A bookish soldier intellectual, Taylor would soon leave office, write a book denouncing the administration's policies, and join forces with the Democrats. Even Eisenhower's vice president, Richard Nixon, himself a presidential aspirant, publicly hinted at some doubts about the new policy. On the matter of basic Cold War foreign policy, Eisenhower by this point stood almost alone. He held his ground. He had begun his presidency with the intention of waging the Cold War with more determination and innovation than the Truman administration had, while at the same time avoiding expensive Korea-type wars. That policy appealed to a Republican base eager to fight communism worldwide, but averse to large military commitments and high government spending. Eisenhower would persist with one aspect of this policy until the end of his presidency: dirty covert actions to undermine unfriendly or non-aligned governments in the Third World, including, most notably, Ahmed Sukarno's regime in Indonesia. But toward the end of his first term, he began to reassess his larger Cold War strategy of using American nuclear war. Hold on. But toward the end of his first term, he began to reassess his larger Cold War strategy of using American nuclear superiority to take the offensive against the USSR, as he considered what a major war with the Soviet Union would mean in an age of nuclear missiles. Damn, I'm off it today. By 1957, avoiding nuclear war had become his main strategic preoccupation. In the event of an acute superpower crisis, diplomacy and compromise would have to prevail over hostility and violence. Secure in the knowledge that the United States remained militarily superior to the Soviet Union. By 1960, the U.S. nuclear stockpile would reach almost 20,000 warheads, compared with the 1,600 for the USSR, and the new nuclear-equipped Polaris submarines would be ready. And confident that Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev also grasped the meaning of war in the thermonuclear age, Eisenhower hoped in his final 3 years in office to preside over a period of superpower stability. It didn't quite turn out like that. In the summer of 1958, China reignited a second confrontation over the disputed Quemoy-Matsu island chain. This incident inaugurated a 4.5-year period during the Cold War that came close to exploding into thermonuclear war, making this the most dangerous era in all of human history. 5 crises of these years stand out, together with a sixth event inextricably linked to them, the election of 1960. The United States pursued other foreign policies from the summer of 1958 to late 62, some of which rose to the forefront in later periods, But over these 4 years, the specter of the Third World War dominated White House considerations of its Cold War strategy. Many informed observers were sure that a nuclear conflagration was coming and that the human race was doomed. In October 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, that moment seemed to have come, and the world held its breath. Yet the two sides managed to avoid war. Their leaders kept their wits about them when it counted most. End of Part 1.